Think about the last big decision you delayed. Not because you lacked information, not because the situation was unclear, because something kept pulling you back to the drawing board. Now you feel the need to have another meeting, have another conversation to consider another angle, because now you need to consider another scenario all of a sudden. This is causing you to feel anxious. You feel procrastination is settling in. Like every time you think you're close, something shifts the goalposts. Now you're all jacked up. The question is, what is that something that's causing you to have all of this overthinking? I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, and it's probably not what you think. Overthinking is an alignment problem. Overthinking is not a thinking problem. It is an alignment problem wearing a thinking costume. Here is how to tell which one you have. A thinking problem is solved with more information. You research, you gather data, you read, and eventually clarity emerges and you act. An alignment problem is never solved with more information. No matter how much you research, the path still feels confusing. You have everything you need to make the decision. What you do not have is a decision framework built on clear values. Here's the mechanism. When your values are unclear, every option carries equal weight. Every decision becomes a negotiation between choices that all feel valid. When priorities are undefined, everything feels equally urgent. Nothing ever gets clear enough to move on with confidence. When identity is unstable, every significant choice feels like a huge choice on the worth. It's like you're looking at nothing but high mountaintops to climb. So you find yourself going back to the drawing board, not because you need more data, because something at the root has never been resolved. This is the overthinking engine, and it runs entirely on misalignment. Here is what the overthinking engine costs you. Not just your time, your energy. Your best thinking does not happen at the end of a long day of indecision. It happens in the first few hours in the day when your mind is clear and your capacity is high. The overthinking engine burns that capacity before the real work even begins. Every day you spend in the gap between knowing and doing, the momentum you could have built stays unrealized. You now feel the delay and you see the overthinking working against you. You now feel the delay and you see the overthinking working against you. Now you're frustrated because now you feel that you are wasting time. Every delayed decision adds to the backlog. Every backlog increases the pressure. Every increase in pressure makes clarity hard to find. Harder clarity produces more overthinking. The engine feeds itself. And here's the part most people miss. The leaders around you feel it the most. Not the indecision itself. They may never see that, but the results of it. Your mood changes. The environment becomes somewhat hostile. You delayed different responses. You're hesitant in your direction. The energy that should be going into leading, having masterminds on the projects, calculated, intentional decisions are now being presented as hit and miss results. The overthinking engine does not just cost you, it costs everyone you lead. Here's what most high performers do when they recognize this pattern. They gather more information, more research, more data, more conversations with more people. And sometimes they try a productivity system, a better decision matrix, a journaling practice, a planning framework. These things are not wrong, but they are incomplete because information without alignment produces exactly one thing: better quality overthinking, not better decisions. You can have the clearest decision matrix in the world, and if your values are undefined, the matrix will tell you nothing. You can journal every morning, and if your identity is still attached to being right, every journal entry will find new reasons to delay. The fix is not more tools. The fix is alignment. When you know what you value, decisions become filters, not negotiations. Here's what that looks like in practice. When a decision crosses your desk, instead of weighing every possible outcome, you run it through one question. Does this align with what I have already decided matters most? If yes, you move. If no, you decline. If unclear, you identify which value is in conflict and resolve that first. That is a decision framework built on alignment. It does not require more information. It requires knowing yourself well enough to filter from conviction rather than react from pressure. This is the phase 3 of Comadre flow, what I call build. Build creates the execution system that runs your decisions automatically, not dependent on willpower, not dependent on having a perfect day, not dependent on gathering more information, built on alignment, running every single time. If the gap between knowing and doing is where your momentum dies, the free alignment assessment will show you exactly why. In 10 questions, it identifies whether the overthinking engine is your primary pattern and maps the specific next move that shuts it down. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. kfconsultgroup.com/assessment. 5 minutes, instant results. I will see you in the next video.